All right, welcome into another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. And we got a special guest today, and it is none other than Auburn head coach Bruce Pearl, who a decade ago, you know what you and I were doing?
Yeah, we were in our slippers doing the same thing that you and Robbie are doing. Little Sirius XM radio before podcasts.
Isn't that crazy? Rob, we did this together, and the sad part is I'm no better now than I was 10 years ago. So what does that say?
But you made no progress.
No progress whatsoever. You talk about somebody kind of probably regressing. That's me.
Coach Pearl to me. From Coach Pearl to me, I'm sorry.
No, Bruce and I, the funny part, neither one of us had done any real, we had done media in terms of like interviews at that point. We had never hosted anything. And Bruce was out at that point with the show Cause, right?
I was out of coaching. I was working for the H.D. Hackney Company, putting food and cigarettes, candy, and tobacco and convenience stores. And I had my portable unit. And so, half the time I was working and took a few hours away from that job to sit down and kibitz with you for 3 hours on like Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons.
We actually had a blast. We had great guests on.
We did.
And is it crazy to think, Bruce, a decade ago, and where was your mindset at that point? Hey, I might never coach again. Never mind coach at a place that you go to a Final Four a couple of years ago. It's obviously not a fluke because you've got this team where some people actually are ranking you number one in the country today. But 10 years ago, are you thinking, hey, listen, media might be my only way at this point of staying in this thing?
Well, I think it's a test of your faith. And, for me, Jeff, how faithful I am. And God obviously had a plan, but you can't worry about what you can't control. So I get fired at Tennessee. I lose a huge contract, one that I worked my whole life to get through being an assistant for 14 years and a Division II coach for 9 years. And now it's all gone. And I got to hold down 3 jobs to try to pay the bills. And I remember my children.
The bills. Wait. It wasn't like you were making, what you were making in Southern Indiana here. You had some money.
But I'm saying when you lose a job and a contract, like, no, wait a second. I'll correct you on that. You got a big house, you got a big mortgage, you got kids in college. Right. No, wait. When I was in, it's come all of us, and then it's gone. Okay, now you're holding on to that stuff, and you got a bunch of mortgages to pay. So we did keep 3 jobs, and anyways, my kids were proud of me for just like, okay, Daddy, what do you got to do? I had to work 3 jobs to pay the bills. In the meantime, you just put yourself in position for good things to happen. That's what TV and radio and what we did for us. And then Jay Jacobs and Auburn came calling, and the rest is history.
Coach, I know this from experience because I played against your team to Tennessee. They always play so hard. How do you get them to do that year in and year out when the personnel changes and it's turning over so hard? How do you get your teams to consistently be the hardest playing in college basketball?
Well, Robbie, I love zone because I think zones are tough to score against. But if you're going to play 2-3 zone the entire game and never extend your defense and never put pressure on the basketball, your kids aren't going to look like they're playing hard, no matter how hard they're playing in a zone. So part of it is ball pressure. Part of it is extending. Part of it is 94 feet. Part of it is the other part then is depth. I've always been a guy that played 9 or 10. I don't shorten my bench in conference play or tournament play. And I believe in winning in overtime. I believe in winning in the second halves of halves and games and seasons. And so as a result, my guys are playing 25, 28 minutes, and you guys are playing 33, 34, and late in games when you can step up and make a free throw or get a stop, you just might not be there. And that takes a cumulative effect throughout the season. Those would be just a couple things. And the last thing would be, it's what you can control. There's so many things on the court you can't control. If you choose to succumb to fatigue and take that possession off, then losing doesn't suck enough for you.
Do you think, Bruce, you could have gotten Robbie Hummel to become a good defender?
Dang, I wasn't that bad. I was at least a good team defender. I would have been in the right spot.
There's a lot to be said for that, right? Getting in the right spots to help a teammate out.
You and I were having a conversation preseason. I was on the road. I can't remember where I was exactly, but we talked, and I was asking you about your team. And the pointing question at that point from me to you was, how good is your point guard situation? I know you got Jabari. I know you got Walker. Like your front line, nobody's worried about that. But your point guard situation, I was concerned about because you had a dude coming in from Eastern Kentucky. You had a dude coming in from College of Charleston that you probably had never seen in person when you got him there. And they were going to have to fight for the starting spot. Well, you told me, I don't want to, I'm going to let you tell me what you told me then.
You can throw me under the bus. It's okay.
You told me at that point that you would be surprised if you finished in the top, I think, 5 in the SEC, because you weren't sure at that point how good your point guard situation was, and you needed to see him more. But you weren't overly optimistic at that point.
All right, here's why I'm not gonna correct you,
Okay.
but I'm gonna tell you. Look, you call me every year, and every year we talk about the league. All right, we've been friends for a long time, and I'll tell you, I would say that if you're going to pick Auburn in the preseason, you got to pick us 5th, maybe 6th, something like that. And because you got to go Alabama, you got to go Arkansas early. You got to go Kentucky, you got to go Tennessee. All right, Auburn then 5th. I mean, it's not like look. And by the way, we're still in the top 5 right now. We're going to finish in the top 5 of our league. And
hey, you're in the top 5 nationally. Wait, you're in the top 5, all right? You're in the top 5 nationally right now.
We played 4 SEC games so far. There's a long way to go. My team finished 5th the year we went to the Final Four. And so you got to play this thing out. A lot of issues, health, COVID, injuries, chemistry. Anyways, no, but you're right, Jeff. I told you, I wouldn't have picked us any higher than 5th. That didn't say I would be surprised. I said I'd pick us 5th, and because we've lost Jared Harper, who was a 3-year starter, Javon McCormick and Samir Dowdy, who came in the year after, Sharif Cooper, who was a one and done that I thought was probably going to stay 2, and all of a sudden I'm point guard. Justin Powell leaves for Tennessee. I'm point guardless in the summer, but I had 2 tough kids that were really good mid-major players, and we needed to see whether or not they could handle a moment, and so far, so good.
All right, so
go ahead, Jeff.
Going off that, Wendell Green is so much fun to watch. I mean, you're gray already, though, and he can make you gray and bald some days, because that dude, he is fearless. He doesn't care. Like, he knows, or he thinks he's the best player on the court every time he goes out there, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. And then you add KD Johnson to that as well, and they're both on the floor together. And, and then you wonder why I can't get Jabari any shots. It's like, but that's part of the balance. You call a game for me and say, my God, it's get that ball the other side of the floor, get Jabari a touch it. Wendell's launching him and KD's launching him, but, we're still 15-1, and you got to empower them. They know one more for them is one less for somebody else, and so obviously it's got to be shared. Here's what I'd say about the point guard: you got Wendell and you got Zep, same position, 2 completely different players, and this is what I think coaches need to do. You need to let kids be who they are within the framework of what you do. I got to let Wendell Green do what he do. And then you got to get something out of him. Zep Jasper plays the exact same position. They couldn't be more opposite, and we'll take what he can do. A great defender and a really solid non-turnover playmaker.
Coach, what part of Jabari's game has surprised you? I know you thought he'd be good, but could you have ever envisioned like him surpassing guys like Chet Holmgren and Paolo Banchero as the number 1 pick maybe here coming this summer?
Robbie, I've seen most of the preseason recruiting stuff had Jabari between 5 and 7 or 8 even. That's where he was. Rarely any higher than 5. Now, as he got closer to college season, he started his work up behind those 2 guys a little bit. But here's what he's got that I didn't know. I had no idea he would be such a great kid and such a great teammate. And if you saw him the other night when Wendell Green was going off, there was nobody was more excited about his success than Jabari or KD or Walker Kessler. And that's one of the things. He came to Auburn. He wanted to be a college freshman. He wanted to go to the volleyball games and the soccer games and sit in the front row at the Iron Bowl and experience college life. And I feel bad for kids that don't make that choice. I do. I think they get robbed would you have ever traded a year or two of your experience at Purdue, to make $1 million a year earlier, than what anyways, he's enjoying it. The second thing I could never have known was just how competitive he is. He wants to win. And when he wants the ball, he doesn't want the ball because he's trying to get drafted first, second, or third. He wants the ball because he wants Auburn to win because he knows he can make the shot. And the last thing would be just that swagger and that confidence. If he can see it, he can make it, and he's not afraid of the moment. There's no way you could have known any of that in the recruiting process.
He's super fun to talk to. We've had him on our late night show twice, Bruce.
Yeah.
He's super fun, but mature. Like, he's just got the whole package, doesn't he?
He does. And he just turned, he's young. I mean, I apologize. I didn't know it was his birthday, but like he came here as 18. I think he's still 18. Somebody's got to check that for me that's listening. But he is mature, and he's a great kid. And look, he wants to get better. He's our hardest worker. He's done a great job in the weight room. He's put on 22 pounds since he got here at the beginning of June.
What's he
up 220, about 220, 223. And he's holding on to that weight, and he's got a frame that could put, we'll be able to put a lot more on too.
Who's he like? Who's your, I mean, we all look for those comparisons at the next level. I've heard like KD. I don't like that one at all, to be honest. I don't think he shoots.
Well, here's why I like that one. Can I tell you why I like that one? The only reason, who's the best 6'10" jump shooter in basketball in the country?
Okay.
Right. Jabari Smith is the best 6'10" jump shooter in college basketball. So that's where they're similar. Now, for me, I've had Chumo Kiki, I've had Tobias Harris, that's that position. And they've all been, able to do, different things. But those still would be, the greatest comparisons for me, those three dudes.
Coach, at Tennessee, you got the fan base, which really before you got there was football and women's basketball. And I saw where you tweeted the other night, the crowd you guys had at Alabama was incredible. You said it was like you guys are Kentucky now.
Yeah.
How have you done it? And how surprised have you been that the fan base at Auburn has just totally embraced basketball?
Well, I mean, look, winning cures everything. And the thing that I'm most proud of, this has been 5 years now. It's not just like this was this year. And this is sort of we've had, over 5 years, we've been as strong as anybody in this league. The math proves that out. And our fan base, obviously is excited. We say at Auburn, we're kind of an everything school. But, this is, look, no knock on the Big Ten or the ACC or any other conference. But when you look across the boards, landscape of intercollegiate athletics, men and women, the SEC dominates. Dominates a strong word now. But for years, men's basketball was behind. We're not behind anymore. We don't dominate, but we ain't behind anybody. Right? We're putting more guys in the pros the last 5 years. We're getting teams to the Final Four. South Carolina goes, Auburn goes, not just Kentucky or Florida. But we do it in women's softball. We do it in baseball. We do it in football. We do it in golf and tennis and soccer, so swimming. And so all I do is kind of tap into that and make it fun.
So, Bruce, so many coaches, when a team ascends like this, they try to kind of calm everything down. And I remember Billy Donovan would always say, like, don't drink the poison to his players, right? Don't drink the poison. How do you handle this now from a group that really didn't have any expectations to now people are putting you, again, 15-1, undefeated in the league. People are now talking about you guys as, I don't know, the favorites, but you're in the discussion with the Baylors, with the Dukes, with the Gonzagas as teams that could cut down the nets in New Orleans. What's your message to these guys right now?
Well, the message is the same message as to you guys. First of all, when you talk about Billy Donovan, you talk about Nick Saban, that's what they always do. Saban spends the entire year trying to tamper that stuff down and take it one game at a time, so on and so forth. And obviously, that's what we'll do. I'll point to an Ole Miss team that's beaten us a lot and been a tough matchup. I'll point to the fact that we're 2-4 in Oxford, and that's just the reality. This team has a chance to make history. But look, I'm old. The kids are young. So will the kids be affected by social media? Will they be affected? I'll do everything I can to not allow that, to just be honest with them and communicate. We're going to talk about it. Hey, let me tell you something. One of the things I talked about before the Alabama game was this. My message was this. We're going to be as excited about going to Oxford Saturday as we are about being here. And then when Georgia comes to town next Wednesday, we're going to be as excited about playing. So it's not like I've not been talking about this for a while. Now we'll see if those words resonate and everything. Because as you know, in league play on the road, anybody's going to look at Missouri. I mean, Missouri beats Alabama the other night, beats them start to finish, and they go get whacked at Arkansas last night. You got to bring it every night, and it is about matchups too.
Coach, I know you coached your son at Tennessee. Now you get to coach with him at Auburn. How cool has that been for you?
It's awesome. It's Robbie. It's awesome. You know how close that Jeff is with his daughter, and that relationship. I watched them kind of grow up, together. And now as she's gotten older, they've been able to share this world of college basketball together. It's such a cool thing. So I always say that if you look back at your life's greatest achievements, whether it was a marriage or the birth of a child or a championship, you did them with the people that you love. You did them with your family. And whether it's a band of brothers at Purdue or, your wife or whatever. So for me, getting to do all this with Steven and his fiance and my family being so close, that's what, obviously makes it, special. And it's been fun for me to watch him mature, watch him grow as a coach. And he's ready. He's absolutely ready to be a head coach and either take this thing over or go someplace else and be a head coach.
No, that's been, again, I think I can appreciate what you guys have done now more. Going through this with my daughter a little bit and her loving sports. And we're actually going, she's bringing me Bruins game tonight. We got a Bruins game tonight. Tuukka Rask making his return. So she's excited. So I'm excited, not so much to go watch the Boston Bruins, but why? To go with her. That's all.
Right.
That's all it's about. Right. I mean, Rob, you'll figure that out in time.
Yep.
But it's one of those that you can't put a price on. All right. So Bruce, I wore the hat. Like, can you help me here? Can you help the Auburn fans, man? I did not realize that Auburn basketball fans would come out like this. They're like, it's like Kentucky. And then Auburn's not that far behind right now. They're insane on Twitter.
Hey, don't help him. Hold him accountable. Hold him accountable for the shit he says. Don't help him.
Well, you know what? I think, honestly, there's also a part of you, Jeff, that doesn't want to be favoritism in the sense that, it's like we're friends. We've been friends a long time. And so I absolutely think that you don't want to be accused too much of being a Bruce Pearl fan because we're friends. So you're gonna always be objective. And I don't think, but I'd say this: you want to recover with my fan base, you let them know about our history. You let them know about our friendship. They will love you. Because right now I'm in a pretty good spot right now. They're not going to fire me today here at Auburn. At least I don't think so.
It's point guard play, Bruce. I start and Rob knows this more than anybody because I blast it over and over and over, and he laughs at me a little bit. But I start with the point guard position, and if I don't feel good about it and I don't know enough about it, no, I'm not going to really feel good about the overall team because, again, I feel like that's obviously critically the most important position in college basketball. It might not be in the NBA anymore, but it still is in college.
It is. And we've been blessed with great point guards at Auburn and great small point guards at Auburn. Let me tell you something. If I was an undersized point guard and I'm playing in high school basketball, junior college, or wherever, you got to look at what we've done historically with a smaller point guard. And then what happens is a lot of coaches won't take them. Because you can't, what are you going to do defensively? It's going to affect whether or not you can play zone or trap or switch, which is really, an effective way to guard. And it just hasn't bothered me. Wendell Green's special. He's got special in him. Obviously, his ability to shoot from way out. He's got cojones. He's not afraid of the moment. He's a pretty good passer. The biggest thing that he's done is he's embraced the fact that, look, you are 5'10". You are the mouse that they're going to try to post up, and you need to rebound your position. You need to defend. You need to bring that in addition to your offensive game. And if you don't bring that, I'm not going to play you. Like, you're not going to get a chance to do all this fun stuff out there unless you play at both ends. And I think he knows that, and he's improved tremendously defensively, in part because of that.
We got a nickname for him yet? It should be something with cojones.
Yeah,
I don't know what
logo
it is.
win. Logo win.
Logo win?
Logo. Call him logo. He shoots it from the logo. Call him logo.
Yeah. No, he's not afraid of the moment. He'll take it from anywhere. And I love his spurt, like his gear. I'm really surprised he was able to get past those Alabama guards and really get to the basket. He is fearless. Bruce, I know you got to run. Thanks for joining us. Always good to see you. 10 years ago, man, you were carrying me. Now I'm carrying Robbie Hummel.
I knew that.
You guys do a great job and really good for the game. It's fun, and it's going to be fun coming down the stretch, because I think there are about 20 teams right now that I look at that you could say that team's got a chance to get to the Final Four, and that's probably as many legitimately as we've seen in a long, long time.
No doubt. There he is, Auburn coach Bruce Pearl. Thanks, Bruce.
Okay, guys, War Eagle.
These days, it can be hard to find and hire the right candidates for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs made it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in just minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 770 million people. Focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience, and use screening questions to get your role in front of only the most qualified people. Then use the simple tools on LinkedIn Jobs to quickly filter and prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know that job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/good. That's linkedin.com/good to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, so now, Rob, let's talk a little bit about where Auburn fits, because, again, as I said, nobody thought Auburn was going to be in the discussion right now. It is one of the, Bruce says, 20 teams. I don't think it's that many that can win the national title, but it is bananas to me that now some people are saying, like, all right, if I'm picking a team to win this whole thing, they got a high lottery pick, not just a lottery pick in Jabari Smith. They've got a really, really good big in Walker Kessler. They got Katie Johnson, who's tough, making shots, guards. They have a really good offense and defense. You don't see too many teams right now that can do it on both ends like Auburn has been able to do it so far.
No, they're what? They're top 20 in KenPom defensive and offensive efficiency. Yeah, I would think, if you look at the top teams, can Baylor win? Absolutely. Can Gonzaga win? Absolutely. Houston, no Sasser, no Tremont Mark. They've honestly not missed a beat, but to win it, probably not without those guys. Villanova, to win, I think they get to the Final Four. They don't have the bigs, I don't think, to hang with these teams. So I would say no for Nova.
Yep.
They can get to the Final Four. I don't think they can win it. Purdue, yes. Defensive issues need to be figured out.
Yeah.
Auburn, yes. I mean, LSU has played really well at 15-1. Can they win it?
No way.
Kentucky, Kansas. I think Arizona, could. I think UCLA could too.
Duke, you haven't mentioned
win.
Duke.
You start looking at like Tennessee, Illinois.
Illinois is a
could.
One.
I think Illinois could.
Curbelo.
See, I don't know about that. I really don't know if – I think there's a legit argument to be made, and I like Curbelo.
Yeah.
But, boy, they found something with 4-round-1, 4 shooters around Kofi. And you put Curbelo back. I know he's a good playmaker. I think they're the best team in the Big Ten right now.
What about Curbelo coming off the bench, Rob?
Would he accept the role?
20 minutes a game.
I mean, the question would be, would he accept that role? I don't know.
I think he will at first, coming back from his concussion. I don't think it'll be hard early, because if you're Brad Underwood, you're going to slowly ramp him up. You're not going to put him back, coming back from a concussion where he's played in 2 months and playing 32, 35 minutes a game. We know that. The question is, after a month, if he comes back, which I think he's going to in the next week or two, you're talking.
Didn't he have a setback? I thought that they had said he was making progress, and then he had some sort of setback to, I don't know if it was back to square one type thing, but I thought that
I hadn't heard in the last week if he had a setback that's way back. I got to call Brad and kind of find out what's going on there. But Illinois is that kind of like team that people aren't really talking about in the national title conversation.
They're severely underranked at 25. Severely.
Yeah, no doubt. Absolutely. So they're kind of the wild card. We got 9 so far: Baylor, Gonzaga, Duke, UCLA, Purdue, Auburn, Kentucky, Kansas, Arizona. That's 9 by my count. Anybody else that you put in there that we have, like Villanova next tier, you're saying? I would say Villanova still, I'd put them in that group because of their culture.
To win?
Yes.
They play like 7 dudes.
Like
6 dudes. Yeah.
I mean, they're starting to play.
The big teams, I love those dudes, the Jermaine Samuels. They're tough as shit. Yeah. But I don't think when you're going up against a Purdue, like we saw at Mohegan, you're going up against teams with size, Gonzaga. Boy, you're asking an awful lot of a 6'7", 225 dude to guard 7-footers. You really are.
I mean, they're trying to play. Jay Wright's trying to make it to 8 and get Longino, their freshman big, and Brian Antoine. Antoine played about 14, 15 minutes last night. Longino only played a few.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to try here. And if he can get Longino to play 8 or 10, that takes and Dixon was good, really good in the first half against Xavier. And Xavier has, as you know, 2 pretty good bigs in Nunji and Fremantle. So, all right. So we differ on Villanova. I'll read you a few more. Just let's make sure. And I think they're all second tier teams that you'll put in the Villanova bucket.
Okay.
And it's like all the Big Ten. So you can go Wisconsin.
Yeah, second tier.
Michigan State.
Second tier.
Ohio State.
Their guards are improving. I would put them ahead of,
right.
I would put them ahead of the other 2 Big Ten teams. But
they have a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
They have a higher ceiling because
Doing comes back and plays to his ability. I think their guards are improving too. Malachi Branham has had just a monster 2 weeks.
Yep.
I'd put them above those other 2. And Wisconsin's got as good of a resume as anybody. But I just think they depend on Johnny Davis like
too much.
So much, and Brad Davison, but past that, like it's kind of at times who's going to score, but they've got a terrific resume. But yeah, I would say Ohio State second tier, but above the other 2 second tiers.
Texas Tech. Do you want to put them in that?
I don't think they can win at all. I think Mark Adams is doing a phenomenal job. I mean,
can we talk about that for a minute? Mark Adams. So he gets hired. And I didn't even think he'd be in the equation. When Chris Beard left for Texas, I was like, all right, Adams going to go with him. He's a 65-year-old. He's been a defensive coordinator for Beard. He's been incredible. And then Kirby Hocutt, the players really wanted Adams. And Kirby Hocutt tabs him as the successor. And I'm like, I don't love it. I just don't love it. Again, he's a career either JUCO head coach or assistant, D1 assistant. And the reason I didn't love it wasn't because he can't coach. I think he's a hell of a coach. Again, was really the guy who directed the best defense in the country the last few years in Lubbock, by the way. Helped Chris Beard get to the championship game in the Elite Eight in Lubbock. I was worried about recruiting. And he brings in a staff that really hadn't recruited at the highest level also. But here's what I'll say is the guy can coach, number one, and recruiting probably isn't as important as it used to be in terms of.
No, because the portal changes the deal.
Yes.
I mean, you think about how many, Santos Silva, I know that was a Beard transfer, but Kevin O'Banner, they've got guys that have transferred in and they play roles. I just think it's incredible they were able to win the games they did with no Terrence Shannon and no Kevin McCullough. I mean,
McCullough, he didn't play a week ago, and then he played the other night, but he was hobbling around.
Right.
It's almost like he shouldn't have played, but he gutted it out. They're so tough.
They are.
Talk about a culture.
Boy, they
built a culture of toughness there.
Yep. No, I know. They are. They would not be fun to play against. You'd look at that game on the schedule and be like, oh, shit. Like, here we go. About to get the hell beat out of me for 40 minutes by somebody out there. I mean, they're physical. They defend you. They play intelligent team defense. They're really good defensive. But I would say they're in that below tier. I'm going to throw a team out at you that I saw last year in the NCAA tournament and was shocked at how talented they were. They did just lose a game that they should not have lost. But I think USC is uber talented. I really do. And they
were uber talented.
What's that?
They were uber talented when you saw them because they had the probably the rookie of the year.
I know, but still, they've got some dudes out there that can really play. Yep. Like Isaiah's a good player. You add Boogie Ellis. I like Chavez Goodwin. I mean, I know the loss to Stanford is not
but
overwhelming endorsement. But
well, they hadn't played anybody big.
That would be the thing. It'd be a wait and see type thing. But right. I just thought last year I was shocked, not just at how good Evan Mobley was, but at how good the guys around him were.
Right. Anybody else we've forgotten? I mean, we haven't mentioned Iowa State, but I'm not even sure they're a second tier come March.
Right.
Like I think they're a third tier come March, and Providence. Probably, I'm just looking at the teams I've ranked: Providence, UConn, Loyola Chicago, Colorado State. Xavier is the sneaky one for me, Rob, because I actually think Xavier has the toughness. They've got the experience. They've got good guard play. They've got shooters, and they've got two really good bigs. Fremantle still doesn't look like himself, but Nunji's been awesome.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. I mean, I know they haven't done anything as a program the last 3 years. I wouldn't want to play Xavier in the NCAA tournament this year. They're the wild card for me. Everybody's talking about all these other teams. And to me, I got Xavier ranked way higher than I had him 13 going into yesterday. And most people would say that's way too high. I like their toughness. Love Scruggs as a guard who's just a junkyard dog. Fremantle's the same way. Nunji gives them a different look. And like I said, I don't know how many transfers have impacted their team as much as Jack Nunji. Imagine if Iowa had Nunji this year.
Yeah, I know. They need a big. And they're playing Robrowski big minutes. I'm really happy for Jack Nunji, though. He has gone through so much with his dad passing away, multiple ACL deals. I mean, much like Eric Curry. And I hope he's okay. We were watching the game before our game started last night. At Northwestern, it's like, dude, if he gets hurt again, I would just be sick. But I do think Jack Nunji has certainly impacted that team, and he deserves to have a great year. I still am wait and see on Xavier. They've lost two or three Nova, but
and you should.
But no, how crazy is it that you would be talking about Xavier before you're talking about Louisville? That's
100%.
That is insane.
I mean, listen, Louisville. If I'm Chris Mack, I'm worried right now. I'm worried because those fans, they expect you can't go 2 straight years without going to the NCAA tournament. And right now, Louisville's not a tournament team. Again, we've talked about this in the ACC. I don't know who is. Like, who's
they're going to ban you from all future ACC tournaments if you want to go.
It's sad, but like, I mean, at this point, who's left? Virginia Tech now, Rob. You know what they are in league play?
I don't. What are they?
0-4.
Oh, shit.
They're 0-4. Like Virginia Tech has no chance of getting in the tournament today. Louisville, yeah, they're 4-2, but look at some of their wins, right? They beat Wake.
Not your second team, though. Miami got the big win at Duke.
Miami's the one that you would say, but they just lost to Florida State. And now the problem is anybody you lose to in the league now, other than Duke, it's like not a good loss.
I know. It's pretty amazing to me to look at some of these records of ACC teams. And Carolina 11-4 isn't horrible, but for them it is. Virginia 10-6, Louisville 10-6,
Look at Florida State
9-5, Syracuse 8-8.
Right.
Syracuse used to be terrifying to see on your schedule because you knew the zone, you knew how talented they were. No, I hear you, dude. I can't believe that before I got to college and until my, I think, junior year, the Big Ten had never beaten the ACC in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Think about that. Never. And now it's like the Big Ten consistently beats the ACC.
You know what Carolina's best win right now? They have not beaten. If the tournament started today, they have not beaten an at-large tournament team. Their best win
is Michigan.
Michigan at home, and then Virginia last night at home is their second.
Yeah, but Virginia's even 64 on Ken Palm. I mean,
right.
They're not.
No, Virginia's not good.
Michigan's not 27, but that's just because they were loaded so high early.
It's going to be the question, right? Like leading up to the NCAA tournament, we'll do this at some point. Like the biggest questions leading up to Selection Sunday. I guarantee one of them, you'll have them up there. One of them will obviously be how many ACC teams will get in because the number is going to be 3 or 4 at this point. I don't know how you can go more than 4. You can't.
Yeah, I mean, Miami, Duke. I don't know. Maybe even past 2. It's Notre Dame's 4-1 in league play, but they really struggled outside.
Like I'd rather reward some of these mid majors.
You know what? Yeah, I agree. You know what's tough for Notre Dame is, boy, they had 2 games in Vegas that were right there in the same areas game. Same areas ends up making it to the final. Then they had to play, I believe, Chaminade, which does you no good.
Right.
Who'd they lose to in the consolation game? It was some
A&M.
And then you lose to A&M in a close one. That is tough.
And the worst one.
The Boston College is the worst one.
Yes. And you get blown out. So that was awful. How you feeling, by the way?
Good. Much better. I had my COVID deal.
You were hit hard.
For the first day, yes. But it was funny. My mom and dad, I think, were driving and they were listening to us ramble about this shit. And they were like, yeah, how crazy that Jeff was like, man, you still haven't had it. How lucky you are. And like 2 days later, I'm like, I have COVID. I definitely have COVID.
Yeah, you texted me. I'm like, really? But I feel like so many people have gotten it over the last month.
I know. Just from texting people and talking to people, it is spreading like wildfire.
I thought coming out of Purdue, and I think Matt Painter, teaching you toughness, and you bailed on Field of 68 after dark the other day, Saturday night. I mean, I don't want to tell Painter here, but like most Boilermakers, I think would have toughed that one out.
Here's the thing. I slept all afternoon. So you guys would have been talking about games and I've been like, I wasn't watching. So if you wanted that type of product in your company or on Rob's company or whoever freaking Rob's company, then so be it. But it would have been a shit product. So I was doing you guys a favor what it was doing.
All right. Well, Rob appreciates you not coming on there and talking about games that you had slept through. And we're glad you're doing better. That's the biggest thing. I got through it. I'm feeling pretty good.
I was surprised at how certainly I fell off fast, but then I came back up pretty quickly too. I was a little bit stuffed up, but
I just had the worst sore throat I've ever had I've never had my throat burn it burned for 24 hours.
Yep. No,
they say I think that's probably the most common symptom.
I had a fever and a headache, and I had a little bit of a sore throat, more of like a scratchy throat, but I didn't get the bad sore throat.
What do you got? Anything coming up? You must be working this week every day.
No, I think I'm doing studio tonight. I got Houston and Tulsa on Saturday from home. I think this is, now Omicron could change this, but I've only got 2 more games from home for ESPN. And then I'm on the
everything's on the road.
Yeah.
That's good. You get out, I don't know where I'm going. I got to
now
figure
that
out.
I've got super immunity, you too. It's like, let's roll.
My big dilemma. Here's the trip I want to do in early February, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it, but there's a great trip if I could pull it off. It's February 1st, which is a game I wanted to go to all year, which is Texas at Texas Tech.
Oh, absolutely. If there's one game you can go to feel the hate.
Yes. I don't even care about the game. Like, the game is irrelevant.
It's all about when he walks on the floor for the first time. It will be incredible.
Right. Absolutely.
You have to go. I mean, Lubbock is hard to get to, but you have to go. I can't wait to watch. I think it's going to be hilarious watching.
So if I go on the 1st, I'm out already. The 3rd is UCLA at Arizona.
Right, you're
and
out
then
there.
the 5th would be, so Scott Drew, I think I've told you this, how good he's been to Talia, to my daughter, and wanting her to come out. He's never met her. He wants her to at least come out or go to a game this year, a Baylor game. Baylor plays on the 5th. You know where? At Kansas.
Oh, yeah. Why not? I mean, I guess she has school.
Well, I'd fly her out. I'd meet her in Kansas City. She wouldn't go that whole trip because she can't. She's got to make sure.
I think you got to do it. I think just to be there for the Beard stuff. There's a lot of fan bases that have been pissed that their coaches have left, but they don't normally feel the way they did about Chris Beard. They really believe that he was like, I'm one of you guys. I'm staying here. And then to go to Texas, it's just.
They hate him. Well, you can't. If he left to go to like
UCLA or Kansas or North Carolina,
right?
Indiana, fine.
They would have been pissed.
They would have been upset, but it wouldn't have been personal. It would have been, he got us to a Final Four.
Yep.
This is a big, but to go to Texas, ooh.
And
you gotta
especially
go.
if they come back, if Beard comes back and Texas Tech is ranked like 14th and Texas isn't ranked or they're 25th or something like that. Oh,
I can't wait to watch that. That is going to be hilarious.
It honestly, again, just for the scene, it's one of those where you put down the beginning of the season. I ranked all the top games, non-conference games, maybe all the conference games too. And like number 1 of all the games that I circled, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but I think you have to, is March 5th, Carolina at Duke, K's last game at Cameron.
Yeah.
That was 1 for me.
It should be.
I gotta be there. Texas Tech was top 5, I think.
It should be. I mean, yes, I totally agree. You got to be there for Coach K's last deal, but if you can get to the Beard homecoming, you got to do it.
It'd be fantastic.
I would love to go. That will be freaking hilarious.
Big time. All right. Well, listen, thanks for joining us. Another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. Hopefully you had fun with this one. Bruce Pearl, always a blast. Certainly in what he's done at Auburn, nothing short of remarkable. Building it at a place where honestly, nobody has won in a long time. Tony Barbee, Jeff Lebo failed. Cliff Ellis had it rolling years and years ago, but what Bruce Pearl has done is fantastic. And I've worn this the entire podcast.
So, and to finish the podcast, you should say what Coach Pearl did too, please. War Eagle.
War Eagle. That's right. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Yeah, absolutely. War Eagle.